The conversation around the New England Patriots is starting to heat up again, and one of the biggest talking points right now revolves around the wide receiver room, which is still filled with uncertainty. Last season, one of the most talked about names connected to the team was Stefon Diggs, and even after his departure, there is still this lingering feeling that the door has not been completely shut. A return is not impossible, but it would depend heavily on how the Patriots choose to approach the position in the coming months. And that is where things start to get really interesting. Looking at the current situation, it feels almost inevitable that changes are coming. The Patriots are sitting in a position where standing still simply is not an option, especially when you consider how crucial the wide receiver role has become in today's game. With the team holding a late first-round pick, there is definitely talent available, but this year's class presents a unique challenge. There are plenty of promising prospects, yet there is a noticeable lack of a clear-cut, immediate number one option who can step in from day one and completely transform the offense. That puts the Patriots in a delicate spot where patience might be required, but patience is also risky. If they decide to go the draft route, it likely means embracing a developmental approach, similar to what they have done in the past. That strategy can work, but it often takes time, and time is something this team may not feel like it has. As things stand, the current roster is filled with players who show flashes of potential but have yet to fully establish themselves as a definitive top target. You are looking at a group where competition is wide open, and while that can create internal motivation, it also highlights the lack of a proven, dominant presence. There are players on this roster who can step up on any given day, players who can deliver big moments and show glimpses of what they could become. But the issue is consistency. When you rely on multiple what-if scenarios, you are essentially gambling on development rather than securing production. And for a team trying to build a stable offensive identity, that is not always the most reliable path forward. The Patriots need someone who can bring a sense of certainty to that position, someone defenses have to account for every single snap. That is why the idea of looking outside the organization becomes so appealing. Free agency offers an opportunity to add experience without sacrificing future assets, and there are options out there that could fit what the Patriots are trying to build. A veteran receiver, especially one coming off a challenging season, could benefit from a fresh start in a new system. Pairing that kind of player with a young quarterback like Drake could create a dynamic that helps both sides grow together, potentially unlocking a level of production that has been missing. At the same time, there is another path that might be even more aggressive, and that involves making a move through a trade. This is where things could take a dramatic turn. Instead of waiting on a rookie to develop or hoping a free agent returns to form, the Patriots could target a proven star and immediately elevate their offense. The idea of bringing in a true number one receiver through a trade is not just about talent. It is about sending a message that the team is ready to compete at a higher level. However, making that kind of move is never simple. It requires balancing the present with the future, weighing the cost of draft capital against the value of immediate impact. There is also the timing aspect, which could play a huge role in how everything unfolds. Waiting until after the draft might give the Patriots a clearer picture of their roster, allowing them to make a more calculated decision rather than rushing into a deal. And that patience could actually work in their favor. As the offseason progresses, situations around the league begin to shift. Teams reassess their priorities, contracts become more flexible, and opportunities start to emerge where they did not exist before. For the Patriots, staying flexible and keeping their options open might be the smartest strategy, especially if it leads to acquiring a player who can truly change the trajectory of the offense. While all of this is unfolding on the offensive side, there are also important considerations on defense, particularly when it comes to building a complete roster. The team is still in a phase where multiple areas need attention, and investing heavily in one position could limit their ability to address others. That is why every decision carries extra weight right now. It is not just about finding a wide receiver. It is about shaping the identity of the team moving forward. At the end of the day, the Patriots are navigating a critical moment. The choices they make over the next stretch will have a lasting impact, not just for the upcoming season, but for the direction of the franchise as a whole. And as the pressure builds, every move, every rumor, and every possibility becomes part of a bigger picture that is still being written in real time. While the offense continues to dominate the headlines, There is another layer to this evolving situation that cannot be ignored, and it sits on the defensive side of the ball. The Patriots are clearly evaluating how far they are from truly competing at a high level again, and that evaluation directly impacts how aggressive they should be when it comes to pursuing elite talent. One of the biggest discussions internally revolves around whether this roster is ready for a blockbuster move or if it still needs time to grow into that kind of opportunity. The idea of going after a top-tier defensive playmaker is always tempting, especially when you look at how dominant a single edge rusher can be in today's league. A game-changing presence off the edge has the ability to completely alter offensive game plans, create turnovers, and shift momentum in critical moments. That kind of impact is hard to ignore, but it also comes at a steep price. The cost is not just financial. It is tied to future flexibility, draft capital, and the long-term structure of the roster. There have been ongoing conversations around what it would take to acquire a player of that caliber, and the reality is that the price tag continues to climb. Contract adjustments, extensions, and new financial structures around elite defenders are making it even more difficult for teams to justify pulling the trigger unless they are absolutely certain they are one piece away. For the Patriots, that certainty may not be there just yet, and that hesitation could ultimately be what keeps them from making a massive move in the immediate future. Instead, the focus may shift back to the draft, where building depth and developing young talent remains one of the most sustainable paths forward. Addressing the defensive line through the draft would allow the team to invest in the future without sacrificing valuable assets. It also aligns with the broader vision of building a roster that can grow together under the current leadership, establishing a foundation that is not dependent on a single high-profile addition. At the same time, timing continues to be a major factor in all of these decisions. There is a scenario where the Patriots hold steady, allow the season to unfold, and then reassess their position closer to the trade deadline. If the team exceeds expectations and finds itself in a competitive spot, the conversation could quickly change. Suddenly, giving up significant assets for a proven star might feel justified if it pushes the team over the edge. And with certain contract structures becoming more flexible later in the year, those opportunities could become more realistic. Beyond roster construction, there is also a broader shift happening across the league that is adding another layer of intrigue to the upcoming season. The scheduling format is evolving, and that brings a different kind of energy to the start of the year. The decision to open the season earlier in the week introduces a unique dynamic, extending the excitement and giving fans more football to look forward to right out of the gate. It is a subtle change, but one that reflects how the league continues to adapt and expand its global reach. That global vision is becoming even more evident with international games playing a larger role in the schedule. Taking matchups to new locations not only grows the sport, but also challenges teams to adapt to different environments, travel demands, and atmospheres. For players, it is an experience that goes beyond the field, and for fans, it reinforces the idea that the game is no longer confined to a single region. It is a worldwide stage, and every season seems to push that boundary even further. Looking ahead, even the long-term planning of major events is starting to shape how fans and teams think about the future. The locations for upcoming championship games are already generating buzz, with cities preparing years in advance to host one of the biggest spectacles in sports. Each location brings its own identity, its own challenges, and its own unique atmosphere, creating a rotating showcase that highlights different parts of the football world. For teams like the Patriots, all of this ties back into the bigger picture. Building a contender is not just about assembling talent. It is about understanding timing, opportunity, and the direction of the league itself. Every decision, whether it is a draft pick, a free agent signing, or a potential trade, is influenced by where the team sees itself not just now, but in the seasons ahead. And as those layers continue to unfold, the margin for error becomes smaller, making each move feel even more significant as the franchise works to redefine its path forward. There is also a growing sense that the Patriots are entering a phase where identity matters just as much as talent. Over the past few seasons, the team has struggled to consistently define what it wants to be on offense, and that lack of clarity has shown up in key moments. Whether it is through the draft, free agency, or a trade, the next addition at wide receiver is not just about production, It is about establishing a tone. They need someone who can command attention, someone who naturally becomes the focal point and allows everything else to fall into place around him. At the same time, the development of the quarterback position remains at the center of everything. Drake may represent hope, but also uncertainty, as is the case with any young player stepping into a major role. The support system around him will play a massive role in determining how quickly he can adapt and grow at the professional level. A reliable wide receiver can accelerate that process, giving him a consistent target and helping build confidence early on. Without that, the pressure increases and the margin for mistakes becomes much smaller. Another factor that cannot be overlooked is the internal competition that is currently taking shape. While the lack of a clear number one option raises concerns, it also creates an environment where players are forced to elevate their game. Training camp and early season performances will be critical in shaping the depth chart, and there is always the possibility that one of these receivers takes a significant leap forward. Still, relying entirely on internal growth is a gamble, and history shows that not every promising player turns potential into sustained production. As the front office continues to evaluate its options, flexibility remains one of its greatest assets. Keeping future draft capital intact while still improving the roster is a delicate balance, but it is one that can define successful organizations. The Patriots have to weigh every scenario carefully, understanding that one aggressive move could either accelerate the rebuild or set it back if it does not work out as expected. That level of pressure makes patience a valuable tool, even if it is not always the most exciting approach for fans. There is also an emotional element to all of this that cannot be ignored. Expectations around this franchise are always high, regardless of the current stage of the roster. The fan base is eager to see a return to relevance, and every rumor or potential move fuels that anticipation. That energy can be a powerful motivator, but it can also create urgency that leads to rushed decisions. Staying disciplined while navigating that environment is one of the biggest challenges facing the organization right now. And as the offseason continues to unfold, the sense of unpredictability only grows stronger. Moves that seem unlikely today can quickly become realistic tomorrow, especially in a league where circumstances change rapidly. The Patriots are right in the middle of that shifting landscape, with multiple paths in front of them and no clear indication yet of which direction they will ultimately choose. That uncertainty is what makes this moment so compelling, because every decision from here has the potential to reshape not just the roster, but the entire trajectory of the team moving forward. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our New England Patriots. And don't be shy, share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are growing louder around Foxborough, and what once sounded like off-season fantasy is now being treated as a very real possibility inside league circles. Sources close to the organization suggest that Robert Kraft has quietly authorized a massive bonus structure in an aggressive push to lure star wide receiver Devante Adams to the New England Patriots. The move, if confirmed, would signal a dramatic shift in philosophy for a franchise often associated with calculated spending rather than headline-grabbing splashes. Insiders hint that the proposed financial package includes incentives designed not only to attract Adams, but to outmaneuver multiple contenders believed to be monitoring his situation. While nothing has been signed, the mere existence of such discussions is already sending shockwaves through the league. Adams, widely regarded as one of the most precise route runners and reliable playmakers in football, would instantly transform the Patriots' offensive identity. League executives reportedly view this potential pairing as a statement of intent, suggesting New England is unwilling to remain on the periphery of the championship conversation any longer. Behind closed doors, there is talk that Kraft's involvement has been unusually direct, reinforcing the urgency within the organization. Some speculate that this could be part of a broader strategy to reshape the roster with proven elite talent, rather than relying solely on development and system fit. Rival teams are said to be watching closely, uncertain whether this is a negotiating tactic or the beginning of a genuine blockbuster pursuit. Either way, the rumor alone has injected a new level of intrigue into the offseason, with fans and analysts alike wondering if a seismic move is about to unfold in New England. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our New England Patriots, be sure to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.